G'day everyone, welcome to the Local Footy Podcast. We find out what's going on around the country in the world of Australian rules football at local level, community, grassroots, heartbeat of the nation when it comes to that sort of stuff. And there's always something to talk about in the world of local footy. And today, we're going to touch base with one of the premier clubs in the Eastern Football Netball League, well, certainly in the last decade and a bit, 15 years or so, once after dominating the Southern Footy League, and find out what's going on at the Noble Park Football Club, a very, very powerful force for many, many years, and had a win on the weekend against South Belgrave, their first one for the season after a zip and 10 start. So I want to find out what's going on. And when you talk Noble Park, there's not too many better people to talk about or talk to than the president, Shayne Allan, who's a former champion himself, and he joins us on the podcast today. Shayne, great to have you, mate. Nice to chat again about local footy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Harf. Looking forward to it.
So there's a bit to talk with you because you're the president, and when I knew you, when I knew you as a player, you were dominating on the park for the Bulls. When did you take over the presidency?
This year. So, it's been a bit of a learning curve this year. Obviously, the results aren't been going our way, but so I took over this year, mate.
So why did you do it? What led you to take on the presidency? Because we've talked about this a lot on the podcast through the year about the volunteer status and how hard it is to find people and the amount of work you have to do for local footy these days. Why would you put yourself through a presidency?
It's a great question, to be honest. There's a bit at the club. Probably at the time, Grant was he's a previous my predecessor. He was having his health battles last year, so there wasn't really too many people putting their hand up, and I sort of went to Grant. I sort of liked the idea of helping out Noble. My old man used to be the president of Noble Park as well, so there was that a bit of the heartstring pull as well. But there wasn't too many people putting their hand up, so I put my hand up, and I was the only person who put their hand up at the time in October. So that's probably one of the reasons why.
So how is it looking on the field? So end of last year, obviously president steps down, you take it over. What were the expectations? What did you think the club was looking like when you took over the role?
We were very young at the time. We still are. I could go on forever in a day, probably around the nature of the local football landscape at the moment with points and salary cap and stuff. But when I took over, we were still. I thought we were probably like 3 or 4 years away of competing again back in finals, just with a bit of, because we were so young, we just needed to bring in that experience. We lost a fair bit of experience at the start of this year with Crouchy, Josh Stern as well. So we lost a couple of really experienced players. We lost a few boys to another club within Berwick, a couple of brothers. So we topped up, and then we just lost a lot this year. So if we kept everyone, we would have been competing for finals. I have no doubt about it. But it was just unfortunate how everything sort of panned out come February this year. So so it's happened
pretty quickly, relatively, because you won a premiership. Only 2022 you won a premiership. So 3.5 years now. You win a flag, so it can turn pretty quick, can't it?
Absolutely. So, I suppose you probably look at the age demographic, and I suppose using that word experience, we clearly don't have that sort of 28 to 35-year-old bracket of experienced players right now that you need in your side to compete. So, so that's probably how quickly you can turn. And if you look at our league at the moment, I know we've only won one game, but between first and last, there's only like 12 goals, maybe. We actually play East Ringwood this weekend, so hopefully it's not that much. But it's just that's the difference. When I suppose back in the 10, 11 days, and when you were coaching ball, and you had sides flogging sides for about 100 points and whatnot. So it's just I think the gap isn't that far apart, I suppose, as it probably was, call it 5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah. So how does that all sit with you? And I'm sure you got a plan with the committee to get it back on track and rebuild it to a really strong position again. Because how does it sit with you? Because you're a legend of the footy club. You're 200 plus games, 3 flags. You mentioned 2010 and 2011. I was coaching against you. You won those flags and put us to the sword a few times, which was annoying. But you're a legend of that footy club. And you talked about your dad being president and the heartstring factor that comes with the role and why you got involved. How do you sit with it at the moment? the whole thing?
As president, and just like it's. I must admit, it's been like the last few weeks have been quite challenging, especially the dreaded R word. But I've sort of. I was actually talking to somebody on the weekend after we won. Like, I've sort of come to peace with it, whether we go down or not. It's near here or there, so it's not doesn't really that. Well, it does bother me, but it doesn't really bother me in that sort of sense. Yeah, it's probably just where I'm at with it all, to be honest. I'm excited about what we can achieve. So, again, we're a very young side. We're only a few players off competing again, so it's just that's what sort of drives me, I suppose, and that's what the exciting thing is moving forward for our club. But yeah,
it's a fascinating situation, and you touched on. You referenced the points in the salary cap. We spoke to Andrew Tranquilli from Diamond Creek, Coach Diamond Creek, the Northern Footy League last week, and he was talking about the similar challenges with the current structure of football in Victoria with points and salary cap. Do you have a solution, something that you would recommend if you were sitting in front of AFL Vic at the moment? We're talking Victorian football. Would you have a solution for them to make it easier for clubs and volunteers to put teams together and get clubs back on track?
Yeah, well, I think the AFL Victoria is probably trying to. It's impossible to find one solution fits all. Let's just put that to bed. But look, again, from where we sit, like all the noise that we hear is just around, who's cheating the salary cap and this club's doing that, this club's doing that. Once you remove the salary cap, all that noise disappears. You got the points, which is measurable. And I firmly believe that if you reduce the points to whatever it might be, and you remove the salary cap, it still keeps that sort of loyalty, but it also, it stops the whole players moving around for money as much. But I don't know. It just the whole noise around the salary cap is the biggest, I suppose, my biggest bug area, I suppose. But yeah, I think, I don't know. Remove the salary cap and then just reduce the points.
Well, that's exactly what Tranquilli said last week. So I don't know if you saw the podcast or not, but that's exactly what he said. So, and it seems to be a consistent theme from a lot of people in local footy, particularly people that have been around for a while, that would be a good start to get things back on an even keel as well.
Yeah, you just can't cheat the points. So unless they can find out a way to have a salary cap and not cheat, then they don't have the bandwidth. I've said this before. They don't have the bandwidth nor the staff to go auditing every football club in Victoria. They just don't they can't. So just remove it. You remove all the noise. So.
Right, so that's for the future. And in the situation we're currently in, we're going to keep things bubbling along. You talked about relegation, whether or not it's a good thing, bad thing, doesn't really matter. It is what it is to a degree. The emotion in the rooms on the weekend, what was the vibe like on the weekend? You get that win. You had to earn it. You had to hold on for a bit in that last quarter, from what I could see, to win 2 points over South Belgrave. What was the emotion like at the footy club after that?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I bloody cried after it. But
great. That's great, mate. That's awesome.
Yeah, I saw my best mate, Tim Kelly, and I looked at him and I started crying. I ran out the back, so I missed the song. But I don't know. It was just like this whole emotion just built up into one game of football. It was like we won the bloody grand final again. But it was just a strange feeling. We've won one game of footy, but all this raw emotion comes to the front of everyone in the room, like whether it's players, coaches, supporters, parents. And it's just it just shows you how powerful winning is. And it's just an amazing feeling. And you just, like, it's such a cliche thing to bottle up those feelings. And we just need to. It was unreal. It was unreal. It was like we won the flag.
But that's the beauty of it, mate. And this is what I talk about a lot with people in local footy, and particularly people who don't understand community sport. Now, in this world, it's local footy, but community sport where people invest so much time, so much energy, they're emotionally so invested into whatever it is, whatever sport it is, club it is, doesn't really matter. In this case, it's Noble Park and footy. But it's your soul, your connection, your point of belonging with a lot of people, and to have those moments when it's been a bit rough. That's an absolutely natural reaction, and that's the beauty of the whole thing, I reckon.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's hard to explain, but it's just a lot of people would be able to explain it. But yeah, it was unreal. I'm just Yeah, it was just reward. I said to the playing group, probably 6 weeks ago, you just got to reward your effort, and their effort's been unreal. They're really really close knit bunch of guys. They do everything. They're all in bloody each other's back pockets. They just need to reward themselves, and they did that on the weekend. And yeah, so just hopefully we've got a couple more on the way out.
So, what sort of conversations are you having with the coach, Stevie Hughes? How's he going through all this?
Uh, he's probably pretty similar to the playing group, to be honest. He's very close with them all, just keeping things really, really positive. Like you wouldn't know, like as bad as it sounds, well, not as bad as it sounds, but you wouldn't know that we hadn't won a game by going off the training, going off, how positive the environment was, and being such a young group, you've got to keep that. You can't be, as soon as you get negative, it's just you just curl over and die. Pardon the language, but yeah, it's just it's been unreal. Like Hughesy's just somehow kept him going. Like yeah, it just keeps him positive and just keeps him motivated, which is what you need to do as a head coach.
Yeah, well, that's your job, and particularly through tough times. That's the real challenge of coaching, without a doubt. And I saw that Kyle Martin, the champion of the Noble Park Footy Club, of course, had some time at the Collingwood Footy Club in the AFL as well, after dominating local level, and then going back and winning more medals and premierships and whatever he did. Is he not playing anymore? He's assistant coach, is he?
Yeah, he's assistant coach. Yeah.
Did you try and get him to play a little bit? Did you talk about
his body's cooked, but look, yeah, when he came back, he sort of knew that his body was cooked. So yeah, we didn't want him to waste for another year at another club. We wanted him back. It's obviously a favourite son of ours. So, but he's got an incredible football brain, and we're obviously really lucky to have that person being involved in our football club for such a long time.
Is there any truth to the rumour that he was pretty heavily involved in the strategy for the weekend to find a way to win? I'm hearing some things on the grapevine.
I'm not entirely sure what happened in the vote. I removed myself out of there because I yelled too much. But yeah, I'm not privy to all that stuff. I'm sure there was probably a lot of conversations had around the game on the weekend, but there was a big change with Jacob Noble going to Taylor Gardner, because that literally changed the game on the weekend. So,
well, I'll take the wins when you can, mate. As you say, these moments, you just enjoy them along the way. So, what's the plan? How do you improve the outcome at Noble Park in the next? What is it? You've got a 3-year plan, a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan. What's the committee put together to try and get things to where they once were in the glory days of the Mighty Bulls?
Look, it's a hard one, because like you sort of, like if we weren't in that relegation sort of zone, like you sort of can plan for one thing. So we're sort of trying to plan for two things at the moment. But look, recruiting's it's the biggest one that we need to concentrate on. So we've already started discussions with people already. So that's the big one at the moment. Just sort of, I went on a bye weekend a couple of weeks ago, went and watched a couple of other local games of footy. So we're just trying to get out there and start viewing a lot of our new recruits potentially. I feel like there's probably other local clubs will be the same. You're going to have to start probably investing down that path where you're probably trying to find like a recruiting officer or something like that, which is strange to think at local football, but it's just how local football is, because you got these kids and players who want to get X amount of dollars and paid a lot of money, yet you haven't seen them play 1 minute of footy. So it's sort of just, you got to go see them first before you can start playing or trying to recruit them, I suppose. But which we probably didn't do very well last year, if I'm going to put my hand up. Yeah.
So would you target sort of more experienced players, or would you go again for talent?
Absolutely. So we've got a big old spreadsheet here. There's a lot of players' names and stuff on it already. So it's it's just trying to get out and watch as many games as local footy as possible. So we'll start pretty much as of July. We'll start sending a few of our people within our club to go start watching a few other local clubs. So we're going to be quite specific in the targeting areas. Like it's Mornington Peninsula League and Southern League is probably we'll start looking, because it's just close proximity to Noble. But yeah, you got to start doing that kind of stuff now, rather than get to the end of the year and then you start recruiting, because every other club's talking to players now, to be honest. So
yeah, and so in terms of that, I mean, being a destination club. Is a lot of clubs talk about that. Doesn't matter what level of players or player it is. It's you've got to be a destination club. You've got a great facility at Moodamere Street there at Noble Park Footy Club. You've got the social function area. You've got the club rooms. You've got the beautiful ground. Do you use that as a selling point? Is it still a selling point for local footy?
Yeah. So again, I reckon we've got the best facilities in probably local football, to be honest. But that is the biggest selling point. The hard part is just getting people through the door to get them to the selling point. So, yeah, like it's unreal. We've got a massive change rooms. We've got a meeting room upstairs. Then you got the social club, obviously, which has the bistro and the sports bar and whatnot. So it's all at one. We're quite pretty lucky because the way our site's sort of set up. We've got tennis courts, we've got the tennis club, we've got the lawn bowls club, we've got all these affiliates all in one area. So it does bring quite a, I suppose, family vibe, can I say that, or a sporting vibe in terms of all the teams that we have. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great place. Have you been there many times and walked out with no points, as would often happen when you played the Bulls? It's a great place to go and visit, not so much to play at times. But hopefully it gets to that point again for you and the club soon. In terms of operations at the club, have you got a lot of staff? Are you blessed with staff, or is it a bit of a challenge to try and find people to help out?
No, we're quite blessed with a lot of our volunteers. Again, like I was probably a bit naive to think how much work goes into running a football club. It's wild. So come game day, like you've got everyone doing their roles, and to be fair, it runs pretty smoothly. We probably don't think that enough, but it does go. Like the volunteers are, you just can't thank them enough, and you just want 100 of them. But it's just it's unreal. I mean, that's what brings footy clubs together. And probably in your playing days, and I can probably put my hand up with this, is you probably take it for granted how much, and again, I'm probably learning that now, is how much effort and time goes into running a football club and what these people are doing, that you sort of walk past and don't give them, the opportunity to have a chat with them and stuff, which is, you can't think of enough. Like it's just,
So it's just on that. Do you look back and see the work that your old man must have put through, and probably underestimated his impact in that footy club, because he did a great job?
Yeah, it was. I worked in the same office. I said this a few weeks ago to Paul Amy, but I worked in the same office with him, and his phone was just going off. Like, it was just like, what's going on? He's just like, it's just footy. And I didn't think it was going to be as bad as that, but it's just. It's hard because you got to try and like plan your work around it. So I try and do all my phone calls in the car. So when I'm going to and from work, so try and get all that stuff out of the way. But it is like having another job, to be honest. But after the weekend, it's quite rewarding. So
that's great, and that's awesome. And they're the little licks of the ice cream, as you were sort of touching on before. That it's great for everyone, not just the players, but it's great for everyone, just to keep the juice flowing, the motor running, and plenty of energy for the back end of the season. So what we've learned now, we're on the board. You mentioned East Ringwood coming up. They're on top of the table, so it's not going to be easy. Do you have a measure of what success looks like for the rest of the year, or do you just sort of take it literally week by week?
I suppose you can go down both paths, but the reality is we probably need to win 3 games if we're going to be serious about staying up. So, and then coming back to your second point, like you take it week by week. I reckon every game, it's that cliche again, Harf, it's just that every game's winnable. Just it's all about who turns up and what mental state you turn up and the effort you put in. So I dead set think we can win every game, but I reckon this week would be a great challenge, but I reckon it's winnable, even though they've only lost 1 game for the whole year, but they lose to South Croydon a couple of weeks ago and only won 2 games of the year. So anything can happen. So,
You sound like a coach, mate. Yeah, have you thought about coaching as well?
I did have a little bit, but I'm not sure if I've got the patience. And I'll probably lose my voice yelling at people too much. Anyway.
Again, you sound like a coach. That's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the best thing about being president? We talked about some of the challenges, and certainly you're living through that at the moment at the Bulls, but what's the best thing about being president of your footy club? Because it is your footy club. You're a champ of that footy club.
Like, I suppose I look about the direction and sort of the way we're going to be moving forward. So having a say in that is probably what excites me the most. But you can't compete what happened on the weekend when all three sides won, which probably hadn't happened in over 12 months as a football club. So that probably excites me. Well, not excites me, but that was probably the best thing. I think for me anyway, but is winning. So, but yeah, I suppose the direction of the whole moving the club. I suppose I've got like a 5-year plan to win a premiership in 5 years. So it's just that's what excites me, and I'm looking forward to going towards that. So.
Right. Well, the club's in good hands with you in charge. A legend as a player and now doing great things as an administrator. The best facilities, you said, local footy are certainly up in the top handful. So for any potential recruits out there watching or listening to this, maybe just get on the phone to the Bulls if you're looking for somewhere else to play and be a part of the resurgence of the mighty Noble Park Footy Club. Mate, we wish you the best of luck. Well done on the weekend. Are you at home this weekend against?
East Ringwood.
At East, yeah, okay. Easy ground to win at. It's easy, mate. Just go out there and just kick goals. It's good. You'll be fine. Good luck to you, buddy. Nice to chat. Nice to catch up. And we'll be watching, see how the Bulls go for the rest of the season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good on you. Shayne Allan with us, the president of the Noble Park Footy Club. On the board on the weekend against South Belgrave and hopefully go back-to-back against the all-conquering East Ringwood Roos. We'll see how we go. That's it for us on the podcast this week. We'll catch you next time.